One championship took place this weekend. It was 167 Tawanchai versus Smoking Joe Nattawut 2, and it was a fantastic fight. And this is the CPS Reports Fight Recap Show. Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is doing good. It is our time to do our recap that took place over this weekend. It was 167 Tawanchai versus Nattawut, as you can see on screen, and it was a fantastic show. One of the most amazing fights I've seen in a very long time in the Muay Thai division. Especially if you look at the screen, it's a fantastic card. As you can see, there was nothing short of superstars that took place over the weekend. So let me go straight into it without further ado, starting with the main card that is Tawanchai taking on Smoking Joe Nattawut. And 5-round back and forth, just absolute brawl between these two guys. It was a bit of a controversial finish. If you have watched the fight, if you haven't, I'll put the link in the description to the One Championship so where you can catch the replay of these wonderful fights that took place. But if you haven't watched it, let me explain. It was a controversial finish to the fight, although it was quite competitive. I think the entire crowd, along with some of the judges and a lot of the commentary team, almost felt that the fight probably should have gone in Nattawut's way, just because he made in-fight changes and started controlling the fight, landed some good shots. If I remember correctly, the first round, I would say, Tawanchai probably won it nice and cleanly. Like he won that fight. The first round, he utilized a lot of the tip kicks, which is what he's brilliant at. Low kicks is what he was brilliant at. He kicks to the body, but didn't really utilize the boxing combination, some of the elbows. He elbowed when they were clinching, but then off the clinch, he maybe threw an elbow, but didn't really use enough of it throughout the fight. But in the first round, he utilized a lot of his kicks, and I think it was safe to say that he won that first round. Going into the second round, what was very noticeable about the second round was Smoking Joe came into that round and started changing up the game plan, whereby he started utilizing a lot of the boxing combinations, closed the distance, especially a lot of shots to Tawanchai's torso, which was fantastic because it actually got Tawanchai stopping in his motion. Smoking Joe threw a lot of leg kicks to Tawanchai's back leg, which I think was quite cool because it kind of made Tawanchai stick to throwing leg kicks instead of body kicks, because his back leg was getting chopped quite often, which kind of stopped his movement. You could see the rot on his back leg. Smoking Joe also threw quite a bit of body shots, apart from the hooks. He threw a lot of tip kicks as well, and made it a bit of a scrappy fight. And I think Tawanchai, being the cleaner fighter, didn't enjoy that, and he didn't like that. That Smoking Joe had him going backwards in that second round. I think Smoking Joe cleared the second round as well. Round 3 was a bit more competitive, but still a bit into Smoking Joe's favor. I think he was a bit more of the aggressor, and again landed clean shots. He landed very good straight left. What was it? Left straight, right straight. And if you look at the image on the bottom left of your screen on this images over here, you would see Tawanchai's face is a little bit busted up. Let me see if I can. Yeah, his face is a little bit busted up, as you can see there. And I think what was safe to say here is that over the third round and fourth round, Nattawut definitely controlled the exchanges. He landed a lot more cleaning combinations. He looked to be the aggressor. He had Tawanchai going backwards. Then in round 5, Tawanchai pushed back and started. You could see Smoking Joe started to get tired. I don't know if it was being the older fighter or maybe he just pushed so hard through from rounds 1 to 4. Going into the 5th round, he kind of gassed out a little bit, but didn't give up enough to almost concede the round. It was still very competitive. And Tawanchai, I would give him the 5th round. I don't know, you guys can let me know in the comments what you think and who essentially won that 5th round. But even if Tawanchai won the 5th round, it still would have made him then lose the fight 3 rounds to 2. Although the rounds aren't scored on isolation in the One Championship, they're scored over the course of the entire fight, so the full 25 minutes. But if you're breaking down those rounds in terms of minutes, you would argue that Nattawut had 15 minutes to Tawanchai's 10, and that's what made Nattawut, for me, win the fight. Even when because this was a majority decision, it wasn't even unanimous, it was a majority decision. So even when the announcement was made for who won the fight, Tawanchai didn't look impressed at all. Not even for a single moment. He looked surprised more than anything. And then even when he had his post-match interview in ringside, he had nothing to say. He couldn't answer any of Mitch's questions. He had literally had nothing to say. He said, I have no words. I'm just disappointed. Which is a clear indication, if a fighter says that, the fighter themselves did not believe that they have won that fight. So that for me speaks a lot of volumes, even though he didn't say anything. It says a lot. It says that he knew that in this fight, it was more competitive than he thought it was going to be. If anything, he felt he maybe have lost the fight. And that would mean Smoking Joe should have been your crowned champion in the featherweight Muay Thai division. However, that wasn't how the event went. That's not how the fight ended up. It ended up in Tawanchai's hands, and he won that fight. Look, it was a back and forth, successful fight for both fighters. You could see that Nattawut didn't look sort of upset about the result. He clapped about it. He respected the Tawanchai for giving him a brawl, for giving him a back and forth fight. But I think deep down, Nattawut knows that he won that fight. Look, he's still number 3. I think after this fight, he could be number 2. He's still on top of the food chain, and now he's just got to think about himself and his camp and what's going to happen next. Does he stay fighting for the title again, being at 35 years old? Does he have another crack at it again, or does he just fend off and take on number 1 contenders and see if you beat Nattawut, then you can go and take on Tawanchai and see what happens next. But anyway, it was a fantastic fight nonetheless. It was one of those fights that deserve to have deserve to have the main event and still the headlines, and it did exactly that. The fight was nothing short of just back and forth, fabulous display of extreme elite Muay Thai. Anyway, let me know in your thoughts what you guys think about. I'd love to hear what you think about how that fight took place. If you think that it was a deserved win for Tawanchai, or do you think that Smoking Joe got it robbed? I'm gonna leave that comment in the pinned comments to hear you guys' thoughts about how you think that fight took place and were the judges correct in giving Tawanchai the win. Anyway, let's move on. Smash the like button if you haven't done so yet, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to our channel. We are on our road to first 500 subscribers, and it'll be fantastic if you guys like and subscribe and be a part of our community and help us get to our first 500. All right, let's bring up the next one. My favorite fighter in the One Championship division, Rodtang, that defeated Dennis Puric, and Dennis Puric called out Rodtang for this fight, which was quite interesting because Rodtang hasn't fought in a full year prior to this fight. And then also coming into this fight, he unfortunately didn't make the weight, so they fought in a catchweight. It's supposed to have been bantamweight, but they fought in a catchweight bout, which was, I think, at 141 or 142 pounds. So that means both guys obviously put on some of the extra mass. As you can see, Rodtang is usually a lot more ripped than this, instead of having just these, extra little fat around the body. But anyway, nonetheless, it still made him have a fantastic performance. Clearly won the fight, rounds 1, 2, and 3. Dennis, being the dog that he is, made the fight a spectacle. Attempted to push Rodtang back, attempted to scrap with him, and they did for the most part. They were going back and forth, but a lot of Dennis's strikes barely even landed. Rodtang had slipped almost every single one of it, and there was a wonderful thing that Rodtang kept on doing, whereby he would step in, duck under, throw the right step back out, and when he step backs out, that's when you would see Dennis throw a 1-2 combination. And then after Dennis's left hook misses, Rodtang steps back in with a left uppercut. And it landed every single time. And it was you could see there was a few moments where Dennis was getting rocked by it. But Dennis sticks out his tongue and calls out Rodtang, let's go, which is probably not the best thing you do with someone like Rodtang, who is almost pioneered that move in the One Championship, shaking of the head and sticking out the tongue, like walking through everyone's strikes. I wouldn't recommend any fighter to do that with Rodtang. Wonderful performance, standout performance, really. I thought Rodtang could have pushed a little bit more to get the finish, but I could see that it made sense. He missed the weight. He didn't have a good camp. He wasn't necessarily fit ready or fight ready. And you could see this at the end of the fight when Rodtang was giving his post-match interview. He was so emotional coming into the fight, not making weight, had lost his last fight against Super League, who arguably was one of the best fights we've seen in One Championship, and he shouldn't have let his head down. But, being a competitor that he is, you could see how it got to him. Being emotional, what I took away from it was the tears didn't display an overwhelming burst of energy. And the guy fought over 270 times. That's madness. What was more emotional was that he felt that he disappointed not only himself, but his support base, his fans, his family, his camp. He felt that he disrespected Dennis Puric by coming into the fight not making the weight, and it kind of put him down. You could see it. He was just completely disappointed. He was completely just shooketh, for lack of a better term. It felt like he was just, he had no words to describe how gutted he felt that he wasn't able to make the weight and come and compete at that level. I mean, but that's fine. The dude's 26 years old. You're going through some things. It's fine. Take the time. Get your head back into the game. You know, you go through a life where you have ups and downs. You can't be perfect all the time. We got so used to seeing a lot of things, beating everybody, game in, game out, or fight out, and you know, it's only human of him to have maybe taken a loss in his career, and he took a loss against Super League guys. Like Super League is Super League. It's in the name. The guy is an absolute superhero. He's an absolute he's not human. So for Rotang to come back and to display that human side of him, I think he just won a lot more fans, because we could see that he's not this machine that doesn't get hurt. He does go through the most, you know. But what's next for the guy? I think he made a call out for let me just get to the name again. He called out someone. Oh my word, this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. But he made a call out at the end of the fight, and it was a good name that he made, which I think would be a fantastic fight. Oh, he called out Takeru, which I thought was a brilliant call out, which will also make a really good fight. They are in a similar weight, and I think Rotang said he would do it in kickboxing, so they won't fight Muay Thai, which is obviously Takeru's base. I think that would be a wonderful fight for one championship to put together. Possibly still in 2024, if not September, which I think Rotang might be fighting in September. No, I'm not sure. I'll check it again. But if not September in the Denver card, maybe give Rotang another fight maybe to close off the year with Takeru. Super fight would be just one of the fights. That's something that we would pay to watch. But unfortunately for Dennis Pudic, you know, you are on the back end of 30 years old. I think he's 37. I think he's 38 or 39. You still look like he has stuff to go for him, but I don't know if you can go and take a run at the title shot. You know what I mean? You just fought Rotang, who is technically the champion, and yeah, he lost all 3 rounds. He made it competitive for the most part, but do I see Dennis Pudic going for the title shot again? Do I see him defending of some of the young guns coming up? If Rotang doesn't get Takeru, then Takeru can take on Pudic. I think Takeru will actually beat Pudic. And yeah, I just think the younger guns are going to maintain being at the top of the heat of the bantamweight and flyweight Muay Thai divisions. But fantastic nonetheless. It was just one of those things to see Rotang come back was just wonderful. Just wonderful to see, you know, the poster boy for one championship to come back and fight again. And yeah, he should just get his head back into it and not be so emotional about it. And you know, he still has the same support base around him. And you know, watching him fight just shows why we all missed watching him fight over the last 12 months. You could see it. He put it all on display for us. And I would love to see Rotang come back again. At least we're still within the year of 2024. But we move on. Kade Ruotolo defeats Blake Cooper in Kade Ruotolo's MMA debut at lightweight. And again, what an interesting fight. We always knew that the fight, if it would go down to the ground, that Kade was going to win. And it ended up like that. Kade submitted Blake Cooper in the first round with a rear naked choke. But I want to talk about what happened before the rear naked choke was sunk in. Kade Ruotolo came into the fight, and as we all know, Jiu-Jitsu is his bread and butter. It's what he knows in his sleep. He doesn't even have to show up at his best, and he will probably still smoke anybody. Right? He does these kind of things without even thinking about it. The guy's an ultimate instinct all the time. But coming into MMA, he's a little bit outside of his element here, because now there's striking involved, and all fights start on the feet in MMA. And that those kind of things would have posed quite a bit of puzzles for Kade. But what Kade did was something that I thought was quite phenomenal. He showed courage, and he showed a lot of bravery to go in and not sort of just, you know, jab, and then shoot double leg and then get into his wall. He attempted to stand first. He attempted to box. He attempted to strike. He threw a couple of leg kicks, a couple of body kicks. Although they looked a bit of weird techniques, but that's to expect from someone who doesn't necessarily strike that often. But he pushed Blake back. He kept the striking going. He kept the pace going. Blake couldn't really land anything on Kade. As you can see on one of the frames here, Kade throwing knees. There's some versatility, and this is why I say the courage and bravery comes in, because he attempted to throw some things that he's never really learned or done other than this moment. Obviously, he trained MMA up until the fight, but I mean, he hasn't fought. This is his first MMA fight, and to put all those things in display and to put it in a fight and to land a lot of those things was wonderful to see. Now, that being said, I know he got the finish. We know that that's what he's great at. He did it so flawlessly. But I would love to see Kade Rutolo take on an MMA guy that isn't necessarily, how do I say, a has-been. I mean that with the most respect. Blake Cooper had his time and he did it all back in the day. But I mean, coming into this time, Kade being very young, only 22, 21 years old, it would have been nice to see him take on someone who's also an up-and-comer, but maybe not someone that is already, in the top 5. Maybe someone that was in the top 15 would have been fantastic, or top 10 would have been fantastic to see. But nonetheless, I think it was a good tune-up fight for Kade Rutolo. He showed up, he did what he said he was going to do, and again, that's another win streak, and he remains undefeated in the One Championship. What's next? We know he's scheduled to fight against Mikey Musumeci later in the year. That's going to be just a all-out, not brawl, but high-level jiu-jitsu, high-level jiu-jitsu between the two of them. So I look very much forward to that fight, because that was probably one of the most best fights that One Championship could put together in their grappling division. If you think about who they have in their grappling departments, this is the highest level, and I think putting the two of them together would be great. So good stuff. Okay, winning this fight does definitely give him the boost and a good tune-up for that time. Although the next fight's not going to be MMA, but he's still got a chance to grapple and roll and get the kinks out and I think set himself up for a good fight in the future. But let's move it on to the fighter that I was just talking about, who Kade's scheduled to fight against, and that is Mikey Musumeci. And he took on Gabriel Souza, his nemesis, the guy who beat him before. The only guy I think who beat Mikey Musumeci in the past. And there was a little bit of bad blood in this fight coming into it. There was a bit of back and forth banter, some heated banter that was going on, some because of the past. Apparently, I didn't look too much into it because I didn't really care about the banter. I just want to see the guys fight. But Gabriel Souza apparently had said some mean things, said some ugly things towards Mikey, and Mikey didn't take it very nicely and came back and at the end of the fight looked very emotional, very angry. He was, profanities left, right, and center, just swearing. It didn't really get bleeped out, but you could see Mitch was like, wanted to pull the mic away from him a little bit. But that's to be expected from a fighter that took a lot of grief and what's the word, animosity from his opponent, and to beat him with a, what do you call, the carb slicer, to do it within the first round also, it's just, that showed you what Mikey's all about and what Mikey came in there to do. He came in there with an intention to put Gabriel out and to shut him up completely, and that's literally what is that. I don't think Gabriel Souza can say much other than we 1-1 and we have to run it back again, and whoever wins now in the grabber match will make sure that will close that chapter. So they probably will see each other again in the future to close the chapter and see who would be the one that will be victorious in that third fight between the two gentlemen. But Mikey, when he's on and when he's angry, which is probably not the best way to fight, but when he gets the motivation, this guy is an absolute freak and he's dangerous to watch. Like he can put anybody out. The only thing that I'm concerned about Mikey is that fighting against Kade Rutolo, who is above him in weight, you can see they're fighting in lightweight. I think Mikey had to go up he's going to be going up 2 weights to fight against Kade Rutolo. So that might be one of the factors that could be worried about in this fight coming in September 6th in Denver. So just like Kade Rutolo, Mikey Musumeci winning this fight also was a great tune-up for him. And to do it in such a short time, also in the first round, taking no injuries, it's just a good warm-up fight for these two gentlemen. So that's what I'm saying. Come December 6th, you're going to see a very high-level fight between Mikey Musumeci and Kade Rutolo. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me keep it moving. And I'm going to close it off with the dog, the geezer, Tawanchai, defeated Maka Noiri. And Maka was almost like this is a protege, but I would say coming under the camp or under the guidance of Takeru, who I think speaks volumes about Noiri. Noiri also K1 champion, defeating everybody in Japan, coming out into One Championship, and then taking on the legend, the old geezer, in Tawanchai. And I was a bit concerned because I felt a little bit that Noiri might come in a little bit heavier, a bit stronger, and he looked to have a bit more of a bigger punch within the first round. But what's so amazing about Tawanchai is the experience that he has and the ability to make Noiri miss He could barely land anything. There was a moment where he kept on pressuring and again, making Tawanchai go back, but he couldn't really put Tawanchai in danger and have him into the phone booth where nobody wanted him to be. Tawanchai landing beautiful boxing combinations and by setting up his kicks. So then you could see in the bottom left that wonderful left straight. He was landing that quite often. And obviously you would throw body and then left straight, body, left straight. And then after the left straight, you would think he's done. And Noidi would think he's done and try and step forward. And that's when you'll see the high kick come up. Bang! Hitting the elbows, bang! Hitting the ribs, maybe going to the head again. And this was just rinse and repeat, basically, for the 15 minutes. Tawanchai was just rinsing and repeating these combos throughout the 15 minutes. And Noidi just didn't have anything going for him or couldn't necessarily land anything to make the fight more competitive. So at the end of the fight, it ended up being Tawanchai flawless, fabulous performance, staying at the top of that food chain. Not a champion in the featherweight kickboxing, but definitely puts him in a position where he can challenge, the top guys. He fell short against the top guys in Marat Grigorian, Shingiz, all those guys who are number 1, 2, and 3. He just unfortunately fell short against them. But he's just outside that top 5, just outside, and I think he will remain in and around that top of that food chain. Other fights that took place that were fantastic. Let me just pull that up for you to give some honorable mentions for some of the fighters that also performed really well. Let's do that. Let's just scroll down here, and as we go down, Zamboanga defeating Noel. That was also really good stand up on both women. Adrian Lee, the younger brother of what's the dude's name? Of Angela Lee and what's the other boy's name? The other Lee brother. But anyway, the Lee family just dominating the one championship. It's Suki Hirata versus Victoria Sosa. I spoke about that one a little bit in the preview, and Victoria came out victorious. And then Johanni Supernan also came out victorious against Safar. So those are just some of the fights that was also fabulous. Again, I will put the link in the description for you to go and catch all the replays of all the fights that's on the One Championship website. And if you missed them, it's not a problem. They will be available for you to recap yourself on the One Championship website. That's all the time I have for you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to stay in touch with our latest content coming up. I will keep doing this every single week, every time there's a good pay-per-view event for One Championship and the UFC. Other than that, you can also expect on the CPS reports, myself, Babu, and Matthew will be reporting on the Euro 2024 coming up, starting in this week and for the rest of the week. You can also catch Matthew on the TGSC with all the Arsenal updates with regards to the transfer news that is starting this week from Friday when the transfer window opens up. And then after that, we will move into the new season for the Premier League in August. On that note, stay safe, stay humble, and I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.